All right, rough start to the new show, but here we go. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. New show, new flow. Welcome to the Tribune Show. All right, we're going to get things rocking and rolling as usual. I know I said new flow, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do every single thing different. In fact, most of this will be the same. But we're going to be covering more topics. We're going to be getting into more current events, and we're going to be inviting special guests on and all kinds of stuff. Not everything for today, but lots of stuff in store nonetheless. So I appreciate you all being here for the grand review of the new schedule. Finally got things down packed. It is something that's going to work very well for me and hopefully very well for all of you. Let me go ahead and find it. I just literally just had it. There we go. Boom. For anybody who may not have seen it yet, this is the new and improved lineup. You can expect some consistency here, as well as kind of like what to expect. So it is the weekly lineup. This will be consistent until I say otherwise, but we're doing Sunday, that's tonight, for the Tribune Show. The Tribune Show is kind of going to be like a late night style feel going over, that's where we're going to be going over mostly like the current events. And I don't really want to say news because news is boring as hell and tries to tell you what to think. But hopefully we can provide some informative things and some good takes on some currently unfolding information. Wednesday night, that is where people can tune in for the True Fate debate. Very popular up and coming show there. We are going to be talking all about what is the fate of the world and of humanity. It is a philosophical, religious style conversation, and we appreciate everybody coming in as part of that panel as well. So help diversify that. Definitely share the show out so people can know where to go to voice their opinions on the fate of us. All right. Moving on to Friday night, the Friday night flat smack True Earth debate. That is my personal favorite. We are going to be getting more diverse guests on, maybe have it a little bit more pre-planned. We're still going to be doing a section of each and every show, open panel, so you can still feel free to know that you're not going to miss out on anything super fun and dynamic unfolding when it comes to the open panels. So we're going to keep that going. People seem to really like that. We're going to keep the rules in place, although I don't have them to pull up because I accidentally wrote over them. I don't know how the heck I did that, but it is what it is. So there you have it. The lineup, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Very cool shows, and we welcome you to be a part. So let me go ahead and pull back over here. As usual, let me go ahead and shout out, you lovely folks who have taken your time to be here tonight or today, whichever it is for you. For me, it's 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that is what I have to work with. When you have full family, job, kids, all that good stuff, can be a challenge, but I'm grateful to be able to come out here and hang out with you all. So let's start with YouTube. We got Doug Maurer, Angela Baby Carson, much love. Of course, Jim Waterworld, Mojo Shop, Michael Smith, welcome. Chicago Artist, Brianna Lynn, James Ostrom, that's the same one. Okay, I won't say anything, that's fine. Salted Cedar, what is up? Mark Basket, Brian Stavely, legend in the chat. Appreciate you coming by. FE Nation. Three Fingers. Let's see here. Getting a lot of repeats now. Effed Up World. Another legend in the chat. Well, you're all legends, of course, in your own right. Who am I kidding? All right, Michael Smith. I think we shouted you out already. All right. I think that's going to do it for the YouTube. If I haven't seen you yet, oh, well, maybe next time we'll do another shout out before the end of the show. So make sure you tune in. All right. Time for the Rokfin. This one's usually pretty short. we got John Osborne. Welcome, welcome. And Nuba, legend, longtime listener over on the Rokfin side. Awesome. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, with this being the new show, the new flow, let's go ahead and talk about the flow of information, the flow of what it kind of seems the elite want us to be believing. And I think that that's really pertinent, especially at this time as the propaganda machine gets ramped up to new levels. We're going to be seeing them obviously double, triple, quadruple down their efforts to brainwash the masses and to keep the veil over the sleeping giant, which, in my opinion, is definitely waking up slowly but surely. So let's go ahead and pull this up. Now, for some of you, this may be old news, but I don't really give a fuck, right? Pardon my language. Conspiracy chart. This thing is absolutely hilarious to me. Let me go ahead and make it bigger on my side because it's actually pretty freaking small on the screen. But this is basically the flow that the elite expect, at least I believe, that the elite expect us to kind of come to. Nobody starts off with well, I shouldn't say that, right? Some people have woken up right with the flat earth. But a lot of the times, especially like for the older folks, it's kind of a process of waking up and you'll come to all these different conclusions because the propaganda machine obviously leads you in a particular way. So I'm still trying to get this get this bigger. Give me 1 second. Where are you, conspiracy chart? Now, I first came across this on Freedom Tunes. They're a pretty cool channel, libertarian based. So, although they do get political, they do have some really funny stuff. So, definitely some enjoyable content over there. Really short little cartoons. Come on now. Every time I try to stream, it gets really, really slow. Love it. All right, we're not gonna shield just yet. We all know I need a new computer, folks. But let's go ahead and I'm just trying to get this pulled up so that I can see it better. All right, there we go. It's still being slow. Trying to make it even bigger. Not quite to size. Jesus. We'll just zoom in. All right, perfect. We're going to start at the bottom of the pyramid. This is like baby truther stuff. And this is actually classified on the chart as things that actually happened. Things like Operation Mockingbird, Big Tobacco lying about cancer, COINTELPRO, the NSA mass surveillance, MK Ultra, Bohemian Grove. So yeah, this is all stuff that the mainstream now has been forced to admit is 100% real. They couldn't even come close to hiding it. And this is the other big thing that I want people to keep in mind. This is planted information to get us to believe a certain way. We'll get onto that here in a bit. But okay, so now we're coming to the speculation line, all right? This is where it's like, okay, we got some questions here. Hashtag free Britney. JFK assassination. I don't really even know what they mean by Marilyn Monroe. Someone's going to have to clue me in on that in the chat. Okay, the Denver airport being weird as hell. Why isn't that just in the things that actually are, right? That exists, right? That weird shit. Okay, but anyway, Denver airport, Roswell. Okay, UFOs, right? I'm surprised that this isn't in the things that actually happen, right? Because I mean, an unidentified flying object is real, right? It's just a matter of like, are they aliens or not, or is it the government? I tend to think it's a kind of a mixture of both. But let's go ahead and continue on. We got Area 51, Princess Diana, and then big and bold, right? Like they really want you to pay attention to this one. Epstein didn't kill himself. Same with the UFOs, right? So they're again, why would they want us to believe that Epstein did not kill himself, even though they did such a horrible job, a horrible, horrible job of faking his suicide, if that's what you want to call it. Um, Everything on the show, by the way, is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go ahead and get that disclaimer out of the way since we are on YouTube. Um, go ahead and get that out, right? Everything is not necessarily the opinions of Troubling Tribune and blah, 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 blah. Not spiritual advice, medical advice, political advice, legal advice. No advice to be had here. Okay. So now this is all is the section of we have questions, right? Like we have questions about these things, right? Like there's some really weird stuff going on here, but we don't want to make any definitive claims because we're pussies. Again, pardon the I guess you'd call it weak language, but it's just how I feel about it. All right, now we're getting to where people are leaving reality, right? So this is where like, ooh, you're in woo wooville. And one of the things that really stands out to me here on this part is the crop circles. It's big and bolden. That is really, really funny to me. Crop circles, again, that's something that just happen, right? They exist. It's just a matter of, who's making them, what's making them, yada, yada. All right. So let me get back. Bigfoot, of course. This is the unequivocally false, but mostly harmless, right? So you can already see the kind of scaling that they're doing here. It's really, really funny. This is like, yeah, this is BS, but it's harmless, right? So alien abductions, okay, yeah, people reporting being abducted, that doesn't happen at all, right? Totally believe that. Elvis lives, maybe, who knows? Um, Avril Lavigne replaced. Okay. There's some good ones here. There's some good ones. Greta Thunberg is a time traveler. Okay, so they slip in some ridiculous ones in here as well. At least I think they're ridiculous. If someone out there has some like good evidence of time travel, that would be huge because that would throw off the whole idea of like what I'm working with, what reality is. So that would be just ridiculous to see actual physical time travel, and not just spiritual past life regression, or divination or whatever you want to call it. Okay, the Beatles never existed. This one's an obvious farce. Um, Obvious farce here. So they're directly planting things to make people think that if you believe in crop circles, if you believe in Bigfoot or alien abductions or the Loch Ness monster, which I actually think the Loch Ness monster is BS. Somebody can again always open to new information, right? But so far, all the information I've seen on the Loch Ness has been debunked pretty hard. So, and I think that's kind of something they might want to keep around, the idea that that's a real thing. So, anyway, if you believe in any of this stuff, then you also believe that the Beatles never existed. And what the heck is Mattress Firm? So I'm gonna need some explanation on that as well. If anybody in the chat can tell me um, what conspiracy is involving Mattress Firm, that'd be great. Okay, now we're getting to the heavy duty stuff, right? This is where truthers, live in this kind of stuff in these last two columns here. So this is where you are now considered a danger to yourself and others. All right. We have the anti-vaxxers. This is actually the biggest one in 5G. Now, 5G is still a little questionable, but one thing that isn't questionable is the all the data that's come out involving the recent fiasco that we just had involving our health officials and mandates and all that good stuff. So, because I'm still on YouTube, I'm not going to make anything super definitive on that because I don't want to lose my channel. Not big enough to defend it yet, but in any case, you got your anti-vaxxers, you got your jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. That's objective. That is objective, guys. Jet fuel does not melt steel beams, and you're not a conspiracy theorist for knowing that as a fact. Okay. Global warming hoax. Okay, so if you think global warming was a hoax, then you're in trouble there. You're now in science denial, right? Science denial world. Okay, they slipped in another really good one here. Finland doesn't exist. It's obviously a psyop trying to discredit by throwing just ridiculous things at the wall, seeing what sticks. Essential oils cure all illnesses. That one can be debated for sure. I tend to think that against the ideas of germ theory for my own reasons, own evidences that we've discussed in previous shows. Feel free to check out my discussion with Jim Waterworld over in a previous live we did after this one. Okay, essential oils cure all illnesses, and then we got chemtrails, again an obvious real thing. They're definitely spraying aluminum and all kinds of other chemicals into the air. And the common argument that I hear for that is like, oh, well, they'd spray it in the air that they breathe. It's like, well, they have good health care, so they can just detox this crap. And we're stuck in this fiat system. So there you have it. Government made diseases. That's a fact. The government does do things to cause ailments, I believe. Just if nothing else, in the form of their negligence, right? I'm allowed to say that. Okay. So cringe, right? It's like, oh, I gotta, watch what you say. I'm in America, right? This is supposed to be a free country. I'm supposed to have the freedom of speech, say whatever the heck I want. But it is also true that I want to maintain my reach and keep building this thing so that we can keep funneling people to the things that are true. So, take it with it what you will. That's why we have a Rokfin portion of the show. So I don't want to let people forget about that. We only do about half of this type of show on, YouTube. So we're going to be able to get a little bit more uncensored over on the Rokfin side here in a bit. All right. Okay, so enough of that. COVID-19 made in the lab. If you believe in the germ theory paradigm, then you can also believe in this psyop here that COVID-19 was made in a lab, which they totally, in my opinion, set us up for. All of this, again, in my opinion, humbly, is 5D chess. All right, they're doing things off of the Hegelian dialectic. I probably butchered how you say that. They're probably doing that to a much higher degree than most people realize. They think, oh, it's just the problem and then the reaction, the solution, and that's it. It's like, no, sometimes they give you a problem and then the solution is another problem, and then the solution to that is another problem, and there's like three different ways you can take it, and they have a safety net contingency plan set up for every single way that you could go. And if you don't think that they're smart enough to be able to do this, I mean, this is like basic chess, right? You can do something similar to this just playing chess. Speaking of, Andrew B caught me the mess up. I won't talk about that too much, but that's so funny. I haven't played in years actually, because life happens. But I'm actually playing chess with Andrew B, the legend, and it's pretty fun. So if anybody else happens to play chess, feel free to get at me. All right, sharpening that tool once again. Okay, let's get up to, and this is absolutely hilarious, the anti-Semitic point of no return. Once you've crossed this line, you are a Nazi, according to this chart here, which I don't really agree with for obvious reasons. So let's get into that. Okay, so here in big, you got the QAnon. Again, this to me is an obvious plant. One of those obviously bad, wrong, easy to disprove conspiracies. That definitely led some people to say and do some, weird stuff. So there you got the QAnon, trying to loop the people who are in flat earth with all the QAnon people. You got that over here, flat earth, nice and bold. Elders of Zion. Okay. I won't say too much on that. Right? Like, there's not a particular group of people with a particular background that have a particular agenda. Okay, Illuminati. If you believe in the Illuminati, even though the Illuminati was a real thing, not even a conspiracy, it's admitted, it's mainstream, right? Should be anyway. That was a society back in the 1700s. So I don't know why they think that that's a conspiracy. Maybe just the whole idea that the people in the music industry are doing things with the Illuminati. I'm actually with Jaren on that. That seems to be scripted. Okay, moon landing faked. God, this should be like way down here, because it's base level, right? Like a lot of people realize the moon landing is faked. It's a good little litmus test. And then right next to it, in tiny tiny letters, you have Nazis on the moon, which moon landing never happened, or do Nazis land on it? Either way, you're a Nazi. Okay, Hollow Earth. satanic cult panic. So if you believe that the things happening down here in the bottom Bohemian Grove, if you believe in that, then you also believe in the satanic cult panic. Um, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense how they make that gap there. It's a really inconsistent chart, probably not made by the smartest bunch, but as far as like the big ones here, I think the flow of the way that we get this information, a lot of the newbies who are just plugged into the mainstream is pretty accurate. Um, you also have the Sandy Hook being faked. Obviously, they're going to throw that one in there with it. Questioning that potentially harming the families of people who may have actually died. So they want to make sure that nobody questions anything that harms a gun grab narrative, whatever that may be. And then adrenochrome. That's probably the last one I want to. No, hold on. There's one more ridiculous than that. The Obama birth certificate fake. That was for those who don't know, the Obama birth certificate that was given to us was obviously a fake. But people don't know that it was actually a double fake. But the first one was a obvious fake, and the one that like tried to make it look like he wasn't really from the States, but he was from Kenya. Yeah. So again, the way that they do this is really, really funny. New World Order, even though they all say it, all the presidents are like, yeah, we need a New World Order. We have upon us a chance for a New World Order. That's a complete conspiracy. You are detached from reality and past the anti Semitic point of no return. Also classified as the world is ruled by supreme shadow elites. Once you believe one, you usually believe most. Get help, guys. Get help. And absolutely, I mean, I would agree that we need help because all of this crazy stuff that is going on that they are, putting in front of our face is just absolutely ridiculous. What the heck are we going to do? It's probably what old me would have said, 5 or 6 years ago, until I realized that nobody was coming to save us and that it was 100% up to all of us to get at least not even a majority of people, right? But I think if you got like 30% of the population on the same page, that would be the largest army, the largest group of people on the same page that the world has ever seen, and that we would be able to shake our shackles off once and for all. Unindoctrinated, I do not know who exactly made the pyramid. To be fair, it is known. Like, it's not hidden information. I just didn't look it up. To just being straight with you guys, I didn't really feel like it was too necessary. It was some celebrity, I think. But again, this is a representation of what the mainstream is like trying to have the sheeple believe. So if you are new to this program, right? If you like got one of my cards and you're just tuning in and you're like, man, what the freak is going on here? None of this can possibly be true, right? You guys are obviously nuts. Look at where you fall on the chart and see if you agree, right? Because I guarantee there's some things on this that you've questioned, right? And that you've, at least unless you're completely asleep, right? In which the case, why are you here? I've seen 4 power pyramids, 30% woodwork. Nice. Yep. 30% is a good number. If we just all freaking get on the same page and agree that no one's going to save us but ourselves, then we will stop waiting for the world to end. And we'll stop just kind of sitting wishing for things to change, in my humble opinion. Not that there's anything wrong with making a wish, right? Making a prayer, putting that out into the universe. Let me get back over. I've just been staring at this pyramid the whole time. I couldn't see anything going on my stream. So, super funny. I'm going to take a moment to check the chats while we chat it up here. We got some more people I want to go ahead and shout out over on the Rokfin side since there was barely anybody. We got Nuba, John Osborne, of course, Andrew B, Lord Byron, Cave In, Mischief Brew, another legend. Again, everybody's legends, but these are long-time fans. Alrighty. And let me go ahead and check out the YouTube. Very, very lively. Love it. I'm gonna have to get better at this so I can check it without having to like letting y'all know that I'm checking it so I can be more smooth. But hey, still an amateur at this, right? This isn't bad. I've been doing this for maybe what 7, 8 months now, and it hasn't been consistent. It's been very part time. But again, I'm trying to make this more consistent. I want this to be something that I can do a lot more, spend a lot more time on because there's just so much information and there's so much opinions that I feel like I could give. And I know that, some people don't like opinions. They're like, "Oh, I just want the facts. That's what I'm here for." And the thing is like facts are boring. The fact is just a fact. There's all kinds of different ways that you can take a fact, and that's what really gets interesting. So you are going to get a lot of my opinion in this show. It is just what it is. So, in one of my opinions that is really black sheeped in this community is the idea that there is no savior coming for us. And I know this isn't the religious debate show, but just again, we all kind of sit around and we have these holy books that tell us that the end of time is coming, that um you know pretty much just let the evil be evil, let the good be good, and let all the pieces fall where they may, and then the end comes and there's nothing anybody can do about it because there's these uh more powerful beings above us that are pulling the strings. Which, if you think about it, right, if you took, let's just pretend for a second that we're all atheists, right? Let me go ahead and move back over to the main page. If we just pretend for a second that we're all atheists, right? But we're still, truthers, right? You look at everything, you see that obviously there's a design from a group of people at the top that politically, financially, have a lot more power than us and are exercising that power to control the masses into, very particular, very harmful behaviors. There is an argument to be made that the government could do that justly if they were actually getting us to act morally, and keep society in line. And I disagree with that because absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So I think that we were always meant to use our morality compass to decide on a case by case basis what is moral and what is immoral based on the situation. So, all right, let me go ahead. What was the next part I wanted to go ahead and cover with you guys? Oh, yeah, this was something cool that I captured. It's kind of hard to see, but I took it with my cell phone camera. This was the alignment that happened the other day with Jupiter, Venus, and the moon. Very, very interesting. If you guys are feeling some stirrings in the ether out there, um, this could be a big reason why. There are a lot of different meanings that you can take from the celestial bodies, a lot of nuance, but the primary meanings that I take from this are, of course, the moon being a symbol of intuition, inner work. And I know there's some disagreement on that, but that's not what I'm here to talk about at this very moment. And then we have Venus, which that's going to be the dimmer, I believe, the dimmer star there. And Venus is going to represent passion. And then Jupiter over here, that is going to be the representer of one second. Sorry, I just saw something, lost my train of thought. Oh, apologize. All right. So, anyway, the moon being a symbol of intuition, Venus being a symbol of passion, and then Jupiter being a symbol of strength and order. So, what I kind of take to mean from this whole alignment is that, and this kind of what I felt the stirring to do as well with this is to um, order, my order my shit to say the least. The show being a big part of that. So it's a good time to get your ducks in a row, especially about the things that you are passionate about. So I know there's some contingency, right? Like not everybody believes in the astrology, and I just think that if you are on the true Earth side and you have come to this understanding that the celestial bodies are all really local, and even if you still want to believe that they're too far away to have any like real dramatic effect, the thing is that when we start introducing these ideas like the aether, like the fact that light and magnetism have to propagate through this medium, then when you are actually seeing light in any regard, you have to think about what's happening. You have a direct frequency, a direct vibration between you and the object in the form of that wave permeation. So, regardless of how far those stars are, they're going to have some sort of effect on you, especially when you consider that everything is um, waves and electrostatic, electromagnetic in nature. There's actually a really cool article that I wanted to pull up. It was a PDF from the CIA. I can already hear the groans. Oh, the CIA. We can't expect them to be honest. I know, it's true. There are some information that the CIA puts out that media popularity people, whatever you want to call them, they put this stuff out, and it definitely seems like it's forced. And I totally get what you mean. This is something that was discovered via Freedom of Information request. And the difference being, this is where we go and look for the information, right? Oops. So in this case, we went searching and we found, right? Because by law, they have to turn over this stuff. And there's always a point of contingency, right? Well, the law can be corrupt. Yes, it can. There can be corrupt officials and whatnot. But all in all, you'll find out in the legal realm that everything kind of has to operate in honor. And if you just call it out, then everything gets worked out. So, Freedom of Information Act is a way of calling out the government. It's a form of auditing, in my opinion. So, you go ahead and you audit for their information. Let me find this PDF. Alrighty. Where the heck? Just downloaded you today. Perfect. Let me pull it up, and I'm going to show you guys a really cool section. This was a CIA document on metaphysical phenomena. So if it wants to go ahead and load anytime today, I would love to. I would love to share this with you guys. Okay. Oh, how do you want to open this? What? Let's just do it in the web browser. Jeez. Okay. So in this document, it's going to take me just a second to get it pulled up. But in this document, there's a section where they're basically going over like the fabric of reality, and kind of flies in the face of people who still like believe in um, atomism, believe in like atoms, little particles, kind of an absurd belief. So let me go ahead and share the screen, share the dream, right? Okay. There we go. Let me adjust it just a tad because it's freaking tiny. My goodness. It's still really small, but you guys should be able to see it. All right. So this is going to be patent number. Let me go back to the web page. Okay. This is going to be, excuse me, my goodness, approved for release in 2003. So this is not new information by any means. This was published in June 1983. It's not going to let me highlight anything. Awesome. This is going to suck. All right. CIA RDP 96-00788R00. You know what? I got it. I'm going to post it in the chat. I'm going to post it right in the chat. Boom. All right. There you guys go. So anybody who wants to go back and read through this whole article, I'm not going to read through it today because this is huge. But it's got some really great information in it. Really good stuff to ponder. Okay, so from the Department of the Army, U.S. Army Operational Group, Intelligence and Security Command, Fort George, blah, blah, blah. Analysis and assessment of the gateway process. Okay, for those who may be familiar or who aren't familiar, the Gateway Project was the project in which the CIA and military were experimenting with all kinds of psychic phenomena, including, but not limited to, remote viewing, astral projection, lucid dreaming, and more. So, it's going to go through, there's a lot in here. So, I'm going to go ahead and skip right to the part that was really, really interesting. It's number 11. You see, it's got diagrams of the brain and stuff too. It's pretty cool. Um, I haven't taken the time to decipher that stuff. I was just kind of skimming through, and this caught my attention. Frequency following response, role of resonance, brain stimulation, energy entrailment. Okay, here we are. Consciousness and energy. Let me see how that looks. Perfect. Okay. Consciousness and energy. This part was really interesting to me. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Before our explanation can proceed any further, it is essential to define the mechanism by which the human mind exercises the function known as consciousness. To describe the way in which that consciousness operates to deduce meaning from stimuli which it receives. To do this, we will first consider the fundamental character of the material world in which we have our physical existence, in order to accurately perceive the raw stuff with which our consciousness must work. Okay, so they're going already, there are some problems with it. I see they're going off of the materialistic mindset that the consciousness is a result of the material and not vice versa. Take it whatever you will. Just moving on here. First point needs to be made is that the two terms matter and energy tend to be misleading if taken to indicate two distinctly different states of existence in the physical world that we know. Indeed, if the matter is taken to mean solid substance, is it going to let me highlight in this? No, it's not. Perfect. If the matter is to mean solid substance as opposed to energy, which is understood to mean a force of some sort, then the use of the former is entirely misleading. Okay? So science now knows that both the electrons, which spin in the energy field located around the nucleus of the atom, and the nucleus itself are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids. Guys, therein lies the magic and the debunk of atomism, in my opinion, if you want to subscribe to this. Now, because it is just words, of course, I guess it's hard to call it a debunk, to be fair. But there is a whole nother paradigm of which you can wrap your head around to think about the way that even the material world is made up of. And when you start thinking about things in this nature, it kind of makes everything else make more sense, especially when talking about aether, thought projection, lucid dreaming. It gets pretty crazy. Okay, so strict, where are we at? The nucleus itself are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids. Okay, so you have the electron spinning around, basically an energy field because it's going really, really fast. And then you have oscillating energy grids inside of that. Okay, so this is their model that they're working with. Solid matter, in the strict construction of the term, simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds. Okay, and it's going to give us a reference here. In his book, Stalking the Wild Pendulum, Ishtak, okay, that's a good little source there. Stalking the Wild Pendulum, to get kind of more to the meat of where these guys are pulling some info from. Ishtak Bentov gives the following figures. I was going to go through some boring math. It's not too long, sure. Energy grid, which composes of the nucleus of the atom, vibrates at approximately 10 to the 22nd hertz, which means 10 followed by 22 zeros, sure. At 70 degrees Fahrenheit, an atom oscillates at the rate of 10 to the 15. An entire molecule composed of a number of atoms bound together in a single energy field vibrates in the range of 10 to the 9. Okay, so basically the more condensed it gets, the slower that this seems to get, or the lower this number seems to get. A live human cell vibrates at approximately 10 to the third hertz, and the point to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all is like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinary complex system of energy fields. Okay, so what does this mean for consciousness, right? The so-called states of matter are actually variances in the states of energy, and human consciousness is the function of the interaction of energy in two opposite states, motion versus rest. Okay, in the manner described in the following paragraph. Okay, so now it's going to describe more. I'm going to leave it there because there is actually a lot of meat in this, and I do want to encourage those who have the will and the mind and heart to seek, information, to go and look at it themselves, scrutinize it, and then also let's see if we can find ways to test. Now, this is actually what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the conclusions. What was it? The analysis and assessment of the Gateway Project, right? So when you read this, you can actually read them exactly that, analyzing and assessing it. So that is pretty cool. Pretty cool little source of info that I got from the Discord server. Pretty great server over there. Anybody who's over on Discord can go check it out. The Tartaria and Cosmology Discord server. Pretty cool place. Okay. What else did we want to do here? 11:45. Yeah, we'll go over maybe one or two headlines, some current events, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it for the YouTube side. And I'd like everybody to go ahead and funnel on over to the Rokfin. It is going to be completely free while we are live. So go and check it out. Once we do end the show, we're going to leave it free for like a week or so, and then we're going to go ahead and make it premium. That way, Rokfin actually has some good premium content that they can also use for their market as well. Now, Rokfin is actually a really, really cool platform. I want to take this time to go ahead and do a shameless plug, right? Did it a little bit different, right? New show, new flow. Usually would plug right at the beginning. Now, we're going to go ahead and wait till midway just about. So with that being said, if you would like to support the show, if you like the kind of content that we're bringing and you want to see more, right? That's the important thing. I'd like to do this more, but I just don't have the time freedom to be able to do it. So if you guys would like to help me achieve that, I would like to give my time back to you all. And one of the best ways that you can support is to go to Rokfin. You see this little icon down here in the bottom corner. Well, there is a link in the description of the show. If you're on YouTube, if you click that link, it'll take you right over to the live stream over on Rokfin right now. So if you'd like, go do that now so you don't have to wait for me to cut the show, right? But go ahead and subscribe to Rokfin. You can create a free account, so you don't have to support me or any other content creators. I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to, but not only would you be supporting me, but you would be supporting other fantastic content creators like Jaronism, like Karen B, like Brian Stavely, like Owen Benjamin, Melodome, and so many more. So be sure to go and check that out. That is the best way to support the show, guys. That way we don't have to worry, you don't have to worry about have I made my monthly contribution, just once a month, that you've contributed not only to myself, but to all those other content creators. Not only that, but you can, of course, go down here below the screen. You can see support me at buymeacoffee.com/Tribune. If you go there, you can have a super chat read live on the air by yours truly, as well as interrupting the whole show with a loud ding. Who wouldn't want to hear that? Go ahead and do that if you like. And then the other way, if you don't want to hear the annoying ding, but you still want to hear my smooth voice read your comment, feel free to go ahead and cash at me at MrTribune with a comment message or whatever. If you don't want me to read it publicly, then just let me know. But I typically do like to read the comments. So go ahead and if you like, support the show that way. And if you can't do any of that, right, there's still something else that you can do. Now, this helps out tremendously the flat earth community because this is a growing network of flat earthers, of true earthers that are coming together, bringing great information through this app. Thank you, Flat Earth Dave, for providing it by Blue Water Bay, the Flat Earth Sun Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Go ahead and check it out. Use your referral code Tribune so that they know who sent you. And with it, you can gain access to the Friend Finder, find all the other true earthers in your area. You can also get the extra feature, which allows you to create a whole profile and have it kind of like a social media platform as well. And then you can also bypass the Google and YouTube algorithms by going right to the featured videos and playlists. You can find great flat earth evidences and ponderies. Just absolutely good stuff over there. I don't want to ruin it by just telling you all of it, so be sure to go and check it out. All right, I believe that is it for the shameless plugging. Let me go ahead and pull back up my notes so I can remember where the heck it was that we were at. Okay, so we can go ahead and this was something that came up that was pretty cool. Oh, I say cool, pretty awful, but um, pretty interesting to see the conclusion of this. So let's pull this up. And then now I'm going to have to share my screen over to that. Okay. Yeah, I don't do it on the fly, or I don't have it preloaded because then the show starts going really, really slow, right? And that's the last thing that we want. So natural news. All right. Are those just ads? Okay. I don't need the ads. Sorry, had to do some quick little adjusting there. Okay, let's pull this up. All right, so people may have been familiar that the Biden administration keeps trying to insist to the Ohio public that everything is hunky dory after the explosions and chemical fallout that they are now beginning to experience. It should be noted that as far as like what the locals are saying, right? Let's not worry about what some bureaucrats think. When it comes down to people on the ground, we got Eric Coppolino and the health ranger call for the total evacuation of East Palestine due to extremely toxic dioxin fallout that will poison the land and crops for generations. Wow. Well, okay, so obviously we already kind of expected this. Um, it's like, yeah, it's obviously going to be pretty bad. They're starting to take samples, and the reports are not great. Let's see here. Here we have the cloud. Nice. How's that for your weather modification? My goodness. All right. So let's scroll on here. What we got? Toxic cloud event that's dropping extremely toxic dioxins across a large area of residential housing and farmland was deliberately generated by an open burning of vinyl chloride, creating combustion byproducts and dioxins, which are many orders of magnitude more toxic and dangerous than the original substance. Of course, understand that the combustion of chlorinated compounds always results in the formation of dioxins. So if you go burn some bleach, right, you're going to get some of these dioxins. Something that's kind of important to note when realizing that they pour a whole bunch of chlorine in our water supply, right? And then some people think that they can just boil out. I'll just boil it, right? You can't boil out a lot of this stuff. Simple fact is known by all competent chemists and is openly admitted by the EPA itself on its dioxins warning page. Vinyl chloride has actually been showing up in the water reports in Florida quite a bit, even last year. Like before any of this stuff even happened, it was showing up in the water. So, um, yeah, I think maybe the part of this might be trying to cover, as well as cover for some other things. We can get into that here in just a bit. Okay. Much of the dioxins created and released into the air through backyard burning settle on the plants. These plants are in turn then eaten by the animals, which then store them in the fatty tissue. And then the people, of course, get exposed by eating it. So all those folks up in Ohio that were getting, up in Palestine that were getting their locally grown, homegrown goods are completely effed, right? It says that they're making human for these harmful chemicals difficult to avoid. If you're consuming the local products, it's impossible to avoid. It's kind of a similar problem that we ran into here in Florida a couple years back when we had like 2016 Mosaic, a huge mining company, phosphate mining company, had a leak and they dumped like billions of gallons of radioactive material into the aquifer. And then we've been finding things in the environment ever since. We're literally still dealing with it today. So that was 6 years ago. Near permanent ecological destruction. Um, okay. So what sort of problems, right? So if you're in this area, these are things to look for. Immune suppression, nice, getting sick a lot. Just about everybody I know down here in Florida has been getting sick. Uh, Infertility and spontaneous abortions, that's absolutely horrible. Extreme hormone disruption that probably causes the spontaneous abortions. Developmental disorders in babies and children. Okay, are they just covering for the lead in the water at this point? Like this is stuff that's already happening. DNA mutations, cancer. Yeah, all this stuff is already literally was already happening. Although now it's probably a little bit more over for those people over in Ohio. Let's say it's gonna be uh for Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York for centuries. Wow, that is insane. All right, that is enough of that. Let me let me pull up my little transition screen here. The Tribune show. All right, let's go ahead and what was next? Okay, so in spite of that, right? So we had that article, really awful. Let's go ahead and check out CBS News. This is going to be good. Oh, got to adjust it again. Perfect. Guys, there's nothing I enjoy more than having to constantly adjust these in OBS. Okay, perfect. I guess I agree to the terms. Get out of here. Not now. Okay. Boom. CBS. This is gonna be freaking hilarious. Um, Officials say, I wonder what officials. East Palestine testing results show that the municipal water is quote safe to drink following the toxic train derailment. Guys, what a freaking laugh. Anybody who's seen my older shows knows, I actually work intently, closely with water. I did water testing for several years, and I know that being labeled safe to drink doesn't mean shit as far as like the actual safety of the of the product. The reason why I say that is that the safe to drink standards for tap water have not been updated in over 20 years. And most of the stuff that they're talking about is like new chemicals that have been introduced, like the PFAs, um, and now like this level of vinyl chloride. They actually just updated it. I don't know who all saw that they like a week before the train derailment, they updated the vinyl chloride toxicity. Okay, So let's go ahead and move on here. You have them making the big scene as always. We're not going to watch that because we don't want to rot our brains too much. Okay, residents, look, they're really, really freaking trying. Get out of here. All right. Residents of East Palestine, Ohio were told Wednesday afternoon that the municipal water is safe to drink after officials received new water testing results. The update from the Ohio governor, Mike DeWine's office, comes just one day after the officials urged. I can't even make this up, guys. This is literally what it says. Just one day after the officials urged residents to only drink bottled water. Okay. That the chemicals from February 3rd may have seeped into the local water sources. As of Wednesday afternoon, the municipal water testing results showed, quote, no detection of contaminants in raw water from the 5 wells that feed into East Palestine's municipal water system. What a freaking joke. And I'm willing to bet, just on, again, face value, probably a lie. Probably a lie. Um, Anybody who's worked for any place that gets like tested by the EPA, or anything like that, knows how it is when it comes to the testing. What you do is just like a food joint, right? You have it the way that usually runs, and then now it's time for the test. Now we have to really clean it up real good and get like the best, get the best, make the kitchen look better than it's ever looked, make the dining room look as best as it's ever looked, because we got the big honchos coming in, and they could shut us down. So with this, it's no different. I know for bottled water, it's like every 5 years they get their test. So they probably just got like their, you know, best sample, so for lack of better words, and went with that. Absolutely makes no sense whatsoever when you think about it, just on the surface, because again, vinyl chloride, and all these other chemicals, most of them are, they're almost permanent, right? It's really, really hard to remove them. And yet, just one day, we're like, oh, no, we're all clear, right? We're all clear. It's all good. Okay, the new results, right? And notice how they're saying the new results. They're not saying anything about the old results, right? I wonder what the old results said. Um, the new results also show that the treated water from the wells, located about 1 mile from the train derailment site, showed no detection of contaminants associated with the derailment. Okay, so no vinyl chloride at all associated, at the Ohio. That seems sketch. We could probably do a live check of that. Actually, we can't. It takes time for the thing to update. Man, that's the only downside. I don't know of a up to date, updates daily water utility list, which is kind of sketchy in my opinion. The fact that we have to wait and then we get a list for like so many months, it's just ridiculous. Okay, so now it's gonna go on to like preach about the wells. It's 56 feet below the ground. That's not even. I mean, that is a decent. It's not really that deep when you're talking about like Florida wells, though. Okay. Anything else of interesting here? These compounds are a part of our everyday life. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's read the justification here. This is gonna be freaking hilarious. During a press conference on Tuesday, Bruce Vanderhoff, the director of the state's Department of Health, said that the most of the chemicals of concern are in a group known as volatile organic compounds. That's right, VOCs. Very good. Many VOCs are human made chemicals used in a variety of products that can be emitted by paints, cleaning supplies, pesticides, building materials, and more. Again, right on the money, Bruce Vanderhoff. What is your point? These compounds are a part of everyday life. Okay. So if you go this afternoon, okay, they're finding them, right? Make no mistake. If I pull up the EPA report right now, we're going to see VOCs. I'll bet every last dollar I have on it right now. Okay? In fact, let's not I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. Let's check it, right? So, I'm going to pull up. This is going to be the ewg.org/tapwater. For those of you who don't know about this resource, this is a really, really good resource. I'm going to post it in the chat. You can actually keep somewhat up to date with what's going on with uh, your water supply in your local utilities. Now, if you're on a well, it's not going to help you too much. It can kind of just give you an idea of what's being detected in the, um, in the municipal sources. But the municipal sources are often fed by the ground source, which is the same source as the well. So, it's taking its sweet time. Give me a second. Let me just go to. Let's start with the Rokfin chat then, since YouTube wants to take its sweet time. Paste. Boom. Mischief Brew with the $5 tip. Thanks, man, for the new PC. I can't freaking wait. I know the audience can't wait either. We get that thing going, and then these shows are going to be so freaking smooth, so dynamic, so sexy. You're not even going to be able to believe it. Look at what I've been able to do with a static laptop, right? Isn't it incredible? Um, we appreciate that. Another great way to support guys is to tip on the Rokfin. So ewg.org/tapwater. Posted now for Rokfin. Let me go ahead and post it now for YouTube. Where did the chat go for YouTube? There you are. Wrench up. Angela Baby Carson. Why not? Let's get you wrenched up. Boom. If anybody else who regularly watches the show would like to be modded up, would like to get that wrench, and you won't abuse the power, then feel free to go ahead and shout me out in the chat. Okay. I know you've been looking at this page for a while. Give me 1 second. Whoopsie daisies. EWG. Continue to the site. Okay. Does anybody know the zip code for Palestine, Ohio? Anybody in the chat, or am I gonna have to look it up? I'll just look it up. Yeah, I have to deal with this page for just 1 more minute. Palestine, Ohio, zip code. Doesn't even matter which one, right? If it's in any part of Palestine, then and it's associated with the train wreck, then that's good enough. Okay, 45352. Copy. All right. There we go. All right, now we can go ahead and share the screen while we do this process. Okay, so here we got the EWG. You can see there it's still on the 2021 update. That's what I mean by you kind of got to be patient with the water results. And this is also going to prove the point that this was happening even before the Ohio derailment, right? So I do want to point that out. Water is something that's always been pretty terrible. Okay, so let's see some good population here. This one serves 13,000. Greenville City. Contaminants detected. Holy moly, 12 that are going to exceed the health guidelines. Let you know right here, guys, legal does not necessarily equal safe. Getting a passing grade from the federal government does not mean that your water meets the latest health guidelines. And legal limits, of course, have not been updated in almost 20 years. All right. If you missed it, it tells you again down here. That's how important it is. And here we have, holy shit. Guys, you remember what the toxologist said about VOCs and the burning of chlorine products, right? Well, here we have chloroform. There's no legal limit for it whatsoever, right? And there's 74 times over the health guideline. Okay, so again, we're going to have some chlorine byproducts here. Bromodichloromethane sounds healthy. 143 times over the recommended health guideline. Again, no legal limit whatsoever. So they can literally have 1,000 times over. They could have mostly bromodichloromethane and like very little water, like 99 chloromethane to 1% water. And there's no legal limit to it. So they're going to say that that's, quote, safe to drink, right? Bet your bottom dollar. Chromium hexavalent, really fun. That one's really common. No legal limit. dibromyocate. I can't even pronounce some of this stuff. 15 times over, no legal limit. You seeing a pattern here? Nothing to see here, guys, right? These are just a part of everyday life, right? If you buy paint products ever, or if you use a cleaning product to clean your sink, right, then you're already getting this stuff and you shouldn't even worry about it. Even though potential effect cancer, potential effect cancer, potential effect cancer, potential effect, we don't even know. Potential effect cancer, potential effect cancer, potential effect cancer, potential effect cancer, 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 and cancer. So these are the ones that are exceeding the health recommendations, right? I'm not going to go through them all. We got more halicylic acids. Hey, total trihalomethanes. There we go. That's another volatile organic compound right there. 283 times over the recommended health guideline. Insane. Okay, so you come down here, guys, and remember, it's not all doom and gloom. You see these? These are filters, right? Even if you're not in Ohio, I highly recommend that you get a filter. If you're, wondering what type of filter you should get, this chart can kind of help guide you a little bit. But depending on what you have going on, you may need something a little bit more comprehensive. So, just to let people know, I do consultations for that. It's a little informal right now, but it's very cheap because I'm just giving you the information on how to clean it up. It's just for a little bit of the time and to help support the show so that we can help, so that I can help provide some value, some more value instead of you guys just donating, right? Like to help you any way that I can. So here it has all the different kinds of contaminants. Now in this bracket is the ones that exceed the guideline. And you can see what kind of helps with that. So activated carbon, helps get rid of quite a bit of these contaminants here. And then you have reverse osmosis, gets rid of every single one. Nice. You have ion exchange, which doesn't do too hot, right? Now, you go down here, and it's a completely different story. Other contaminants detected. You got atrazine, barium, cyanide. Can't make this up, guys. Literally cyanide reported in the water. Fluoride, etc. You can see that carbon is not going to help you with the cyanide, but ion exchange will, right? So again, you kind of mix and match these. If you don't want to, if you want to just do it yourself, that's totally cool. This is a great way to do it. Reverse osmosis is going to be like an end all be all, in my opinion. You should definitely be drinking water that's been reverse osmosis and then remineralized and electrolyzed. That is the best type of water that you can drink. Okay, so again, just a really good resource and pointing out the fact that a lot of these chemicals, it is true, were present even before the train wreck, although I'm willing to bet that if we got some current reports, that there's probably more contaminants now. Unless there's something weird going on with the environment, that the environment just kind of soaks up so much of it, and then we can only test so much of it. I'm not sure why that would be the case, but if that is, then maybe that's why they can get away. It's a trick. They can get away with saying, oh, there's no contaminants detected associated with the crash, because all of these contaminants that were associated with the crash are at relatively the same levels, right? Who knows? Let's go ahead and get rid of that. I said, let's get rid of that. All right. Awesome. Welcome back. So with that, I think that it's actually a pretty good time to go ahead and move on over to actually, I did have one last thing. And then we're going to go ahead and move over to the Rokfin portion. So, and I had to cover it on this side because this actually still has to do with the issue going on with the Texas derailments. So we have this is some foul play, in my opinion, to do with the actual testing of those contaminants. So let's go ahead and pull up this. All right. So this is an article from Koa News. East Palestine toxicology test relies on controversial consulting firm accused of serving corporate interest rather than the public health. I know it's kind of vague, but let's read on, right? Company that hired the Norfolk Southern has already persuaded 340 residents to sign agreements that reportedly waive their legal rights in the aftermath of Ohio's train crash. That sounds about right, right? It's like, oh shit, guys, we might get in trouble for this one, especially if they find out that we're faking it, or that we're using it to fake an alien invasion later on. More on that with some predictive programming later. Be sure to join us on the Rokfin side. It's okay. So here's some thread. They're gonna hit us with some emotion first, because it's good propaganda, right? Good news in any case is gonna hit you with some emotional stuff first. So here we got our fire and that smoke column that we seen. I don't. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Just continue reading. Okay. Center of Toxicology and Environmental Health, a private contractor hired by Norfolk Southern to test the water. So it wasn't even the EPA or anything like that. It was a private contractor comes in. Not necessarily a negative thing, but does leave room for questions, right? To test the water, the soil, and the air quality in East Palestine, Ohio, has a history of minimizing the effects of environmental disasters to satisfy its corporate employers, according to critics. I wonder what critics. While the Arkansas-based firm provides consulting services to various industries, it is known for performing toxicology monitoring for the oil and gas industries following following health and safety incidents. Okay. So, those guys who got off with just a fine, right? These guys are the ones who do the testing and stuff for their stuff as well. So I'm sure they're 100% legit, and that all of this is on the up and up. And the water is probably safe. So go ahead and fill yourself up a glass, right? After millions of gallons of oil spilled in Louisiana in 2005, after a flood of toxic coal ash smothered central Tennessee in 2008, and after defective Chinese drywall began plaguing Florida homeowners, CTE was on the scene saying everything was fine. That is freaking hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. So these guys are the consulting firm. And I guess they're also like, do they do like the public facing, or they just devise the strategy for the public face? Really funny. That is the same people who fight for the oil and gas, the other corrupt industries there. And for those who are like, well, they're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, or they're just doing it because they really want to make sure the right thing is being done, like all lawyers, right? Um, I mean, let's just be real. Lawyers are spin doctors, right? They are professional spin doctors. Um, at least in my humble opinion. So, okay. In each of these cases, the toxicology firm was alleged to be supplying the data its employers wanted while falsely assuring the public that they were safe from harm. It was at the wow, this is getting everywhere. Center of the Katrina and the BP spill. Oh my goodness. Nothing to see here, guys. Crude oil spill during Hurricane Katrina, coal ash, Tennessee. Okay. Each time, CETA later. It's like they just copied and pasted it, right? It's kind of lazy. Each time, CTET was later accused of mishandling the collection. Every time, right? Now, the other thing is, I do want to err on the side of like both sides, right? Just for a moment. Even though I do have a bias, and I tend to think that, these corporations, for the most part, are full of shit. And they're definitely trying to pull one over on us most of the time. It should be, important to note that there is always the room for the plausible deniability, right? Like they can, especially when you're dealing with just the grunts who are just taking this scientific, quote unquote, scientific data at face value. It's kind of hold them accountable to the same standard as us truthers, because we do have the liberty of sitting around researching this stuff all day. I'm just kidding. I'm obviously kidding. But they're obviously going to play that bit, so no responsibility will be had from any party mishandling this data. And it is a good old boys club. They obviously use the same people every time because they know that they're effective at getting it done. So I mean, just look at the results, right? Was any real consequences had from any of these disasters? Okay. The company's work for BP in the wake of Deepwater Horizon oil spill, for example, drew accusations of the fox guarding the chicken. Okay, enough of the past, right? Let's get. Okay, this is the New York Times covering it. I guess it's okay. So now you're starting to see a thing here, right? All these mainstream publications are pointing this out, right? So it's like, why in the hell would we pay too much attention, right? That they're mishandling it. Well, this is a double bluff. This is a prime example of a double bluff and a desperate and sad attempt for the media to try to gain a semblance of credibility back as the pendulum starts to swing a bit in the other direction. They want to try to kind of give us the impression that um, we're still able to discern the good guys from the bad guys, and that the world is still working out in a way that the evil is being revealed and good will eventually work itself out. Again, a whole part of a bigger psyop designed to keep us all stagnant as hell. But again, a lot of my opinions here. So let's go ahead and move off this because this is again just more of them. It's obviously corrupt no matter how you slice it. Even if they actually did mishandle the data, which they probably did, the fact is that now all the media's are trying to cover it, make it this big old thing, so that everybody knows that hey, it actually is messed up, and it actually is, pay attention to all this stuff because it's really really important. Um, I will throw this little tidbit out and then throw on a song. So we'll get ready to go ahead and um move on over to the Rokfin and slide this back over. All right, where we can become a little bit more unhinged, a little bit more uncensored, talk about some more stuff, and then we're going to actually open up the panel, right? So this is going to be the other benefit, right? To go ahead and signing up for even a free Rokfin account, right? If you do so, you're going to be able to get the link, and the link is going to bring you to the show, right? So if you want to be the star of the show, have a few minutes, conversate, talk about anything that we talked about or anything else, don't really care. The Tribune show is going to be real loosey goosey, so real audience driven when it comes to the open panel portion, as opposed to the focus that we're going to have in the True Earth conversations versus the True Fate conversations. So let me go ahead and just do a quick shout out before we put on the song. Oh yeah, I finally remembered the book / movies that had the cover up for the train derailment. It was pretty crazy. First off, everybody should check out the movie White Noise. Don't actually have to watch it, but you can just read like the description of it and see how weird that is. It's like literally the same town, right? Nothing to see here. But the really weird thing is that when you look at movies like Super 8 and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the government literally uses a derailed train natural disaster to cover up the fact that a dangerous alien was released, right? In that, or one of them was a dangerous alien, one of them was like a UFO crash. So be on the lookout for that. We know that UFOs have been, a huge part of the propaganda machine. Again, we'll talk more on that on the other side. Let's go ahead and do this shout out. We'll start with the YouTube. Admiral Dickie Bird, Doug Maurer, Angela Baby Carson. Sorry, I get caught up in the chat here. Bearsworth, welcome to the show. Lights in the sky are indeed not spheres that we can land on. I believe that to be true. Damsel Medic. Fiery chat here. Mitch Miner. Alrighty, I believe that is everybody for QTA, almost. Question the answers. Thank you for that. I looked it up myself, but you did get it for me pretty fast. Awesome. All right. If I missed anybody in the YouTube, I apologize. I'll catch you next time. You want to keep the show moving, right, and get done at a reasonable time. For the late night show, keep it more on a schedule. RG, to hell with filtering poisons. Distill your water all, y'all. Well, RG, I hate to burst your bubble. Distills actually cannot get out 100% of the things. In fact, anything that can be boiled, right? Anything that you'd attempt to boil out of your water, you actually can't distill. Or sorry, I said that completely wrong. There are certain things that can stick through the distilling process, certain chlorine byproducts, certain bacterias as well. And again, not that you have to subscribe to germ theory or anything like that, but it's still kind of gross to think about, right? Um, I do still believe in germs, just don't really believe that they get you sick. But distilling, it's a great way to do it, and it's really, really cheap. It's really, really cheap, but there's still some things that get through. So, in my opinion, the absolute best water that you can do is going to be reverse osmosis, and then you're going to want to remineralize that, and you're going to want to electrolyze that so that it becomes living water once again, and that's actually what's going to be healthy for you. If your water is still dead, you're not getting that electrical benefit and or that charge boost. All right. So again, not medical advice or health advice, but still pretty interesting to say the least. So okay, RG, Mischief Brew, Mojo Shop, Nubu, very quiet audio. Turn up your volume a little bit. If anybody else is having problems with my audio, let me know in the chat. Try to let me know like earlier. I've checked the chats more regularly, I promise. Andrew B may join after dinner. Awesome. Lord Byron, of course, and we are already back to the beginning of the shout out. So okay. That will do it. Let's go ahead and pull up. What song do we want to do? Let's do. Jesus, there's a lot to scroll through. And now you want to be slow. Don't be slow now. Oi. All right. We almost got it. We're going to do. Looking for the music. I really got to get this better organized. It's like most of the shows, like you guys just watching me fumble through this stuff. Jeez, it's literally making me scroll through my entire catalog. Ouch. I really can't find it. That's hilarious. You know what? We'll do this one. Haven't heard this one in a while. This was called Tiger from Metro Vice. Sick. We're going to play this on the YouTube side. We're going to do one more song when we come in on the Rokfin side because I need to take a little break. And then we're going to pick up the last part of the show. Go over just a few more things and then open up the open panel. So we definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. If you like this kind of content, some of the best support that I haven't mentioned yet that you can do is to share the show. We're really trying to grow this thing to 1,000 before the end of March. So I think you guys can help me get there, right? We're already at 500. If all of you just share it with one person and get them to watch, then that would be fantastic. I had to pause that. It's about to just kick me off, kick me in mid-sentence. All right. So with that, YouTube, I bid you adieu, my friends. Feel free to click the link in the description. Jump on over to the Rokfin. This live is still happening. And if you want to go ahead and have a chance to jump on the show or hear what the guests have to say, then you're going to have to jump on over, right? Don't know what else you're doing with your time anyway. You're already here. So just take a moment. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and play this outro for you. and I will see you guys on the other side. Peace.